Shalom. This will be a series of videos on Know Your Prophets. Very brief introductions to the prophets of the Hebrew Bible. Now there are certainly prophets before the literary prophets. Moses is called the greatest prophet ever. Samuel was a prophet. Miriam was a prophetess. I'm talking about the literary prophets. Now the Hebrew Bible is divided into three sections. You got the Torah, the first 5 books. Then you have the middle part called Nevi'im, prophets. And the first 6 books of that section of 21 books are more historical: Joshua, Judges, Samuel 1 and 2, and Kings 1 and 2. But in those books there were also prophets. Samuel was a prophet. King David had a prophet named Nathan. There are other prophets. But I'm talking about the 15 literary prophets that are divided into 2 categories. The first category are the great prophets. Now they're not any greater than the ones that are the smaller prophets. They're just bigger in size. And therefore the Jews pick more prophetic portions, Haftorot, that we read on Shabbat, from those bigger prophets: Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel. And then there are 12 so-called minor prophets, again, just because they're smaller books. Now let's start with Isaiah. Especially for Christians, very seminal figure, quoted often as predicting Jesus in their view. Of course, Jews read it completely differently. The difference between the fundamentalists and non-fundamentalist Bible scholars are that the fundamentalists believe there's one Isaiah, where modern Bible scholars believe there's at least 3. One is before the exile and destruction of the first temple in 586, predicting it. Then there's Isaiah after that, mostly after chapter 40 of the Jews in exile. But let's just talk about kind of the general Isaiah we know, the early one. Main character, 8th century prophet. He prophesied through the reign of 4 kings and is best known among all the prophets. The other main characters in his book are Hezekiah, the king of Judah, who repaired the temple and rooted out Canaanite worship; Ahaz, who was another king of Judah, who reigned for 16 years but did not respect God and died in dishonor. It was the first Isaiah anyway, was written about 700, and the setting is Jerusalem and the surrounding region. The main theme of this Isaiah is God's judgment and salvation. And I'll just give you some familiar quotes of Isaiah. They shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn more any more. Lo yisagoy al goy charev, lo yilmedu od milchama, which is now a popular song. Lo yisagoy al goy charev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisagoy al goy charev, lo yilmedu od milchama. That's from chapter 2:4, and then 6:8. I heard the voice of God saying, "Whom shall I send? Who will I go for us?" And then I said, "Here I am, send me." Isaiah's call. And Christians take very seriously this passage in 9:6. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, the government shall be upon his shoulders. His name shall be Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of course, Jews don't consider that to be Jesus in any way. There's no, God wanted to say it was Jesus, it would have said Jesus. There's no evidence that Jesus ever fulfilled any of the conditions set forth for the Messiah. This doesn't even talk about a Messiah. So Jews and Christians read that passage very differently. And then another passage from chapter 40. Those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with the wings like eagles. They shall run and be not weary. They shall walk and be not faint. So that is a little bit of introduction to Isaiah. And kind of depending how you read it, again, many people believe that there's first Isaiah was the 700 BCE, and then the second Isaiah would be after the exile in Babylonia, with a completely different message about God giving vision to a new restored Jerusalem and trying to give comfort. I'll give you an example. During the 3 weeks between the 17th of Tammuz and the 9th of Av, we read Jeremiah prophecies, who was prophesying just before and during the destruction of Jerusalem in 586. And they're very tough Haftorot. You're sinning, you're going to get punished. And then right after that, right after the 9th of Av, the day when we commemorate the temple being destroyed, we read a prophecy from Isaiah: be comforted, my people. Nachamu, nachamu ami. Anyway, a brief introduction to Isaiah.